Welcome to Grandma's Verdict, and we invite you to watch a video with our new original story. Walk straight. I'm not slouching. Don't talk back. A girl should be submissive to get noticed. But I don't want to be noticed. I want to study to work. Teresa let out a sharp, dismissive laugh. Oh, Peter, do you hear her? She wants to study. And who's going to feed you while you're studying, And who's going to pay us back for the money we've invested in you all this time? Talia's face fell. It hurt deeply, but she was afraid to say anything. She didn't want to go back to the group home. She had lived there for so long. She was already 10 when the prospective parents came to choose a child. They were only looking at girls and not little ones either. The caregivers and everyone else were surprised because people who adopted usually ask for younger children. Before we continue, I'd like to ask you to like this video, thank you. Enjoy the story. When they got to Talia, the woman smiled and turned to her husband. Peter, I think she's just what we need. Talia couldn't believe her ears. She was sure no one would ever choose her. And so, she found herself in this house. Talia had hoped so much that she would be loved, that she would be part of a real family. But no. No one beat her, no one mistreated her, but their attitude towards her was, well, like when you buy an animal to fatten it up for sale. That's how it was. Talia was afraid to say anything. She really didn't want to go back. Sometimes they let her go for a walk, and that was only thanks to her foster father, Peter. Her foster mother, Teresa, wouldn't let her out of the gate at all, except for school. But Peter had said, no, Teresa, that's too much. She won't be able to socialize later, she'll be like a simpleton. So let her go out sometimes, hang out with her friends, show herself off, see people. After that, she was allowed to go out twice a week for 2 or 3 hours. And each time, her foster mother would give her a long lecture on how to behave. One day they were walking in the park and Leah, a girl from her group of friends, sighed. You're so lucky, Talia. Even though you're not their real daughter, they buy you such amazing clothes. Talia just sighed. You think they buy them for me out of love? Not a chance. I feel like, like a prize cow they're planning to sell off for a good price. What do you mean? Leah stared at her in astonishment. What do I mean? They're always telling me that when the time comes, I have to find a rich husband. And for that, I have to look good, be beautiful, submissive, and so on. And they've even brought some old guys over to look at me. Old guys? But you're only 15. Exactly. And they're over 40. Ugh, that's disgusting. See? And you're talking about clothes. Suddenly, Talia turned. Girls, does it smell like smoke to you? Definitely. Oh, look. It's coming from the basement. That's where the little boys are always hiding and playing. I saw them running in there when we were coming here. Talia rushed to the basement door, yanked it open, and a blast of heat hit her. She remembered those boys. They were still very young, maybe just started school. 2 of them were near the door, coughing, moaning, but they were alive. Get up here now. She pushed them in front of her. The boys looked at her with teary eyes. Sam is still in the corner. He got scared and wouldn't come with us. The girls grabbed the boys and helped them up. Talia pulled her jacket over her head. Leah grabbed her arm. Are you crazy? The fire department will be here any minute. By the time they get here, the little one will have burned to death. Talia, wait. But Talia was already rushing into the inferno. She could feel her hair singeing, heard something creaking ominously above her. It was impossible to breathe. Talia thought that this was it, she was about to run out of air and collapse. But then she bumped into the boy. Where she found the strength, she didn't know. On her last breath, she scooped him up and ran for the exit. A wall of fire was in front of her. Talia could already see the exit. She squeezed her eyes shut and ran, then fell right into the arms of the firefighters. They pulled her out. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw them giving the boy artificial respiration. And only when he coughed and started to cry did Talia pass out. She woke up to someone scolding her very loudly. She tried to open her eyes and couldn't, as if her whole face was bandaged. She carefully raised her hand and touched it. It was true. So you're awake? How could you? What the hell were you thinking running in there? Don't you have anything better to do? All your clothes are ruined, and you look like a mummy yourself. And keep in mind, if even one burn scar remains on your body, you'll be crying bitter tears. Talia mentally squeezed her eyes shut and plugged her ears. The voice began to fade, and she drifted off somewhere, terrified that her foster mother wouldn't come to pick her up from the hospital. When they took the bandages off, Talia didn't see anything good in the mirror. And although the doctor assured her that she was still growing and that in 3, or at most 5 years, nothing would be noticeable, Talia cried. She was very afraid of her foster mother's reaction. Teresa took her bag and walked to the car. Talia followed. At least she didn't yell at her in front of strangers. They got in the car. "Oh, what's this big bag?" Teresa turned to her. "Those are your things. Don't thank me for my kindness. They won't fit anyone else anyway." "My things? Why are they here?" "Because you're going back to the group home." "What, back to the group home? But you're..." Teresa turned the music up. Talia silently swallowed her tears. She cried the whole way. "Here, I'm returning her." The director of the group home looked at her guests, confused. "I don't understand, what do you mean, returning?" "Exactly what I said. I invested so much in her, fed and clothed her for so long. And now, well, look at her face. Who's going to want her now? Not even a poor man would look at her, let alone some wealthy man. I just wasted my money." The director squinted. "I don't understand something. You took a child to raise her, and then marry her off to a rich man who would then sponsor you. That's none of your business." "Got it. I see. Talia, go to the girls' room. We need to have a little talk here." Talia slipped out the door. She stood for a minute. The sounds of a heated conversation came from behind the closed door. She didn't bother to try to make out the words. Enough was enough. She was staying here anyway, so she would go and find the people she used to live with here. A week later, her friends came to visit her. But how could they? It's not right. You were already their child. Leah was on the verge of tears. Talia shrugged. "Well, as you can see. It's okay, girls. I was prepared for this. What's new? What's interesting? Oh, your former mother did something else. The boy you rescued turned out to be from the next street over. You know, where the fancy cottages are." "Yeah. Well, your mother Teresa had the nerve to go to them and demand money because you got burned and needed treatment." "No way." "Way. And they gave her the money, can you believe it? We were even thinking maybe it's a good thing they returned you. If Teresa had raised you, you would have turned out just like her." Talia spat and laughed. "Yeah, I'm also finding more and more pluses in being back here." Her friends didn't forget her, for which she was very grateful. It would have been much harder otherwise. Sometimes Talia would look at herself in the mirror and think that she would grow up and definitely become a surgeon. But not the kind that does beauty for money, but the kind that saves, that helps for free. One evening, she was called to the director's office. "Talia, come on, someone's here to see you." Talia looked at the other kids in surprise. At this time, all visits were forbidden. In the director's office sat a woman, a man, and a boy. They stood up as Talia walked in. "Here, Talia, meet them. This is Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and this is Michael." Talia didn't understand anything. She had never seen these people before. And she couldn't have known them. They radiated wealth, confidence, in short, everything that Talia had never seen. "You don't recognize him?" Mrs. Johnson smiled and pushed the boy forward. "Well, Michael, what are you quiet for?" The boy looked at Talia shyly. "Thank you for saving me." And then it hit her. Talia smiled. "So you're the one from the fire?" The boy nodded, then looked at her scars and gently traced one with his finger. "Is this because of me?" Talia really wanted to cry, but she held herself together. "No, not because of you. You didn't ask me to go in there, did you? So you have nothing to do with it." Mr. Johnson cleared his throat. "Talia, we had no idea you were here." "Hey dear. I don't even know what to call her. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We didn't come just for that. Of course, we'll pay for any treatment, any surgeries. Don't worry. Nothing will be left on your face. But after we found out you were in a group home, well, we talked it over and decided to offer you to come and live with us. We won't hurt you, we'll help you get a good education. We'll help with everything. So what do you think? Teresa was in pain. Pain and resentment. What was this? Everything had started so well. Guests, and not just any guests, but all good, wealthy people. They had been working towards this for so long. She had always wanted to be the richest and to be surrounded only by wealthy people. They had sunk everything they had into this sauna, even borrowed more. Teresa knew that only in such a place could you relax and make friends. And put on a show. She and Peter had come up with a scheme. And then this. When everyone was already quite merry, the sauna burst into flames, and the whole thing at once. And all because they had decided to skimp on the electrician. Peter had done the wiring himself. She was very worried that no one would get hurt. If it had been ordinary neighbors. But these were all businessmen. And then a burning beam had hit her right in the face. True, the people who were there had pulled some strings. They had arranged for her to get to the best surgeon. And so they had brought her here. Teresa understood with despair that she could no longer hope for good fortune. Who would want to associate with her with a face like this? Out of place, she remembered that girl, Talia. They had hoped to marry her off to a rich man. And now it turned out that Teresa was in the same position, only she had a house and Talia didn't. She felt a pang in her chest and quickly pulled herself together. When pity and regret began to creep into her soul, Teresa would immediately push them away, trying to think about something else. They rolled her somewhere. She didn't stay in the ward for long. They gave her some papers to sign for the surgery, and Teresa grabbed the nurse's arm. "Miss, how is your doctor? Will he be able to handle it?" The nurse smiled. "Are you kidding? People come to her from all over the country, and even from other countries." Teresa sighed. She knew that now she had to think not about beauty but about survival. She was not a stupid woman and she could see that there were too many burned areas. The injections they had given her in the ambulance were still working. But what then? And who needs beauty at this age anyway? "How are you feeling?" A doctor in a mask was standing over her. "I don't know, it doesn't hurt." "Good." She was not looking at Teresa but at her charts. But Teresa felt somehow uncomfortable. There was something familiar in this doctor's voice. How long ago did this happen? How long ago? How long? "I don't know, but it was yesterday evening around 7. At 7. The doctor said something to the nurse and she nodded. "You'll fall asleep now and you'll wake up after the surgery. Don't worry, I'll do everything I can." You're Talia?" Teresa was suddenly struck. It was her voice, her intonations. An adult's, of course, but hers. Teresa felt a prick in her arm. "Talia?" "Hello, Teresa." "Talia, no, Talia, you're not. You're not going to take revenge on me, are you?" Her head was swimming, but Teresa was still clinging to consciousness. "How so? Why did I end up with her? What an injustice." "No, Teresa, I'm not going to take revenge on you. On the contrary, I'm very grateful to you." "Grateful? For what?" "For returning me to the group home. If you hadn't, I would be living with some demented old man you chose for me now. And I wouldn't be a person. Or maybe even worse, I would have become like you. So thank you." Teresa wanted to answer, wanted to explain that she had just dreamed of living a good and beautiful life, and that there was nothing wrong with that. But her eyelids closed. She woke up in the ward. "Wow, I'm alive. So Talia didn't kill me." The nurse who was nearby smiled. "You were born in a lucky shirt. The doctor did the impossible, honest to God." Teresa sighed and turned to the wall. Her eyes were stinging. As soon as she recovered a little, she would ask Talia for forgiveness, and she would make Peter do it too. And in general, enough of all this. It was time to live like normal people. And maybe Talia could help with something. They had a garden, fruit. Although, maybe Talia already had children, and maybe she would let her see them sometimes. They didn't have any of their own, no grandchildren either. They had been chasing after something their whole lives. Oh, if only Talia would forgive her. And then Teresa would try not to disappoint her. If you enjoyed the story, Please support me with a subscribe button. Don't forget about the comments. Your support and your opinion are very important to me. All the best, take care.